Hey guys, welcome to another interesting video here called about the Sublist3r. Let's explore Sublist3r. I'm just entering Sublist3r in the browser, and from this GitHub repository, I was able to demonstrate you a lot about this tool. So let's have a look onto the tool demo description. So here you can see it's basically a Python tool designed to enumerate subdomains of a website using OSINT. This is something interesting, like it uses OSINT technology. If you are new to this field, if you don't know what OSINT is, just Google it down and you'll be able to get an understanding of OSINT. OSINT is basically open source intelligent. You do get OSINT framework. If you are someone new to this field, doesn't use the OSINT framework as of now, you have to use it because this is crazy good. You will be able to see a lot of things here in the OSINT framework. Like if you want to enumerate usernames, just click here, and there will be username search engines. Just click here, and you can use a search engine, and you can just enter the username. Like you will be able to find if you enter a username here, it will support up to 10 usernames. If you enter your Instagram name, like Instagram username, it will search the same username from multiple website, and it will just enumerate those informations. Like if you enter your, just try it by yourself. Okay, just enter your Instagram username or any other username that you want to OSINT, like that you want to search the entire websites. Like it will search for from various websites. Like it will search on archived website, art, blog, business, coding, gaming, health, music, images, etc kinds of websites it will search from. Okay, so there's a lot of website it supports. It will search once you enter your username that you want to search in this website. Like that you can just use multiple kinds of things on this OSINT framework, which is so good, right? If you click social network, you'll be able to see some of the social networks available here, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So here I can click for Instagram, and you'll be able to see the OSINTgram and one anonymous Instagram viewer, etc. Like this is basically you just need to download this tool in your Kali Linux to get it executed. So like that you do have anonymous viewing of Instagram's account, will be available. Like that you can use the OSINT framework for great ethical purposes. So yeah, this is how ethical hackers use this OSINT framework. We are not a normal user. We are ethical hackers, right? So yeah, you have to use this OSINT website. That is kind of recommended by me. So anyways, let's move on to the Sublist3r tool. It basically we use to enumerate subdomains using the OSINT method, which you can call as passive information gathering. There will be two kinds of information gathering. Like you can call one as active and the second one as passive. Like active means you are just scanning using Nmap tool, is a network mapper tool. Once you scan a target, what happens is you are interacting with the target. Like once I will show you that. Like I'm just starting the Wireshark. Okay, so once I start Wireshark and start capturing, if I start scan on any of the target mission, so all those contents will be displayed in the Wireshark. Like once I started scanning on a target mission, it will be displayed in the Wireshark. Like let me try to enter one, which this IP was not existed as of now, but maybe it will be in the Wireshark filter. Let me see that IP dot destination equal to it will maybe IP dot source. It is not found here. Maybe you can just start the metasploitable 2 is here. Let me find my metasploitable 2 IP here. So here is my metasploitable 2 IP. So let me search that. Once I executed the nmap command here, let me change this as metasploitable 2 IP like 109. Here you can see this is what is happening. Once it gets communicated, it gets interacted with the target. Like nmap get interacted with this target, right? So once it is interacted with the target, this is what happens in the network. You can just view the network activities using the Wireshark, and this is what is happening there in the network, right? So here when I enter before nmap and an IP that doesn't seems to be up, I'm not interacting with the target because the target is not up and the IP was wrong. So that's why there is nothing. I could not see anything in the Wireshark filter. But when I just enter nmap and an IP address that is currently up, I was able to see the results, like what is happening in the network, which will be in the red, which will be available in the Wireshark filter, right? So this is happening in the network, so it can be detected, right? So this is basically you can call as an kind of active information gathering, and passive means it will use OSINT technologies. So we can search for this, like we can use AI tools in this generation. If you're someone who is, I just found a lot of people still not using AI, so I just recommend you to use AI tools, which should be pretty good, right? So you can use Gemini, Perplexity, Cloud. You just need to know these kinds of AI tools. So let me search Sublist3r. Like is let me search for that here. I'm just entering, is Sublist3r a passive info gathering? So when I search about a tool here called Sublist3r and asking AI, like here a Perplexity, for it is a passive information gathering. Yes, of course, it enumerates by querying publicly available sources like search engines, OSINT databases, and other platforms without directly interacting with the target infrastructure, which classifies it as passive reconnaissance, right? So that is what it means. Okay, so this is what it means, but there is something called brute force modules available in the Sublist3r. Here you can see in the when you scroll down, you'll be able to see the usage. Here you can just use -D for specifying the domain, and -B for performing brute force. Enable a sub brute force module, which I think it is a kind of active. We are interacting with the target, we are performing a brute force attack, which seems to be an active reconnaissance. But you can just I just don't use that without a permission. So I just recommend you not to use brute force methods in any of the websites that you don't have permission for. And you can also specify the -P for specifying the port, like you can specify -P for scanning only for port 80, or scanning only for port HTTPS, or whatever port that you want to scan. Struggles in the network, like we'll be able to see red colors in the Wireshark filter, which we see previously in the nmap scan, right? So if you just reduce the threads, it will not trigger a lot of alarms. And the -E is for specifying the search engines, and -O for output. So basically there is a lot of search engines supported by this tool. As you can see in the description, you can see it supports some of the search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, Baidu, Ask, etc. These are the search engines it supports. And it also enumerates subdomains using netcraft, virus, total thread count, DNS dumpster, and reverse DNS. So this is basically what the Sublist3r tool is. And you can pretty much install this tool by cloning this GitHub repo. And if you are using Windows, then you can see how you can install it on Windows. Will be displayed here. If you are using Linux, you can use this. Once you clone, then you can use this for installing that. And you can also pretty much install this without executing these kinds of commands. You can just enter sudo apt install Sublist3r to get it done installing. So yeah, let's try to do that, like sudo apt install, and you can just pretty much enter Sublist3r. If it is not installed on your computer, then you can just enter this and it will get installed on your Kali Linux. If you are not able to install, then I will recommend you to just update and upgrade your Kali Linux by executing the command like sudo apt update and upgrade. Like I will show you that command. So this seems to be the command that you need to execute if it is not working. So there is another way that you can install the Sublist3r is by using this GitHub repository, like by cloning this Sublist3r. And once you clone, you will be able to see let me clone that. So now I just cloned it and I was able to see Sublist3r here. So I'm just moving to Sublist3r. So now I can see there is a requirements.txt. I can just execute the one that I want is installed on Linux. So here it is. So I can just execute this command for get it done, and just I can just use this by executing this command like python sublist3r.py, and I can execute -h for getting the help menu. Like that I can use by this way, or by just not using this by installing it in apt install. If in your case, if it is not working properly, sudo apt install sublist it is not working properly, then you can just use this github installation method that I demonstrated here, right? So you can just use python sublist3r.py or python 3 sublist3r.py -h, and it will give you the help menu. You can just use -d for domain specifying domain, or etc. You can just use based on your requirements. So let's just use this without any kind of things. So you can if it is not working in your case, if it is not working, if sublist when you enter sublist it is not working, then you can just use this method like python sublist3r.py. Inside this sublist you can just use python sublist3r.py, and you can just use -d or something like that, what you want to use. So here I'm not going to use that. I'm just entering -d here. I'm just specifying a domain here called microsoft.com, and I'm just entering. So now what happens is this: basically I just specified a single domain microsoft.com, and I just don't specify any kind of brute modules, which as I mentioned before, I don't use brute force module without an explicit permission. Okay, so and you can see ports you can just use to scan for specific ports if you have one. So here I'm not going to specify a port that I want to scan. You can just execute -p for 80 or 443 based on the requirements in if your case, if it is necessary. And -v for verbose, it will give you verbosity and display the results in real time, which seems to be pretty good. Yeah, I can use that. So, and -3 is for threads, which I don't need to use it as of now because I'm not going to use brute force modules. And -e, you can just specify a list of search engines that you want to use here. I'm not going to specify any kind of search engines because it is now searching from these kinds of search engines for subdomains. So I'm not going to specify a single or a multiple subdomains as of now. So and you can also use -o for output the results into a text file, and you can just execute -n for no color, which seems to be output without color. So as you can see, the sublister contains colors, right? You can just output it without color by specifying the -n. We can just pretty much use those commands, let it run, and as I mentioned before, I think I just don't mention it. So anyways, it basically takes a lot of time. So this is what I want to mention is it basically takes a lot of time. Like it is searching, it will take definitely time. So that's why let it run. I will show you one thing. Like I just performed the scan before, like against google.com, and I was able to get some 508 unique subdomains. So this is pretty much interesting. Like we can see www.google.com, accounts.google.com, etc. You can see a lot of publicly available Google domains that you'll be able to get by using this tool. You don't know that this is existed in the google.com subdomains. So this is something interesting. Like maybe you will know about the Google Contacts or Google Phone or something like that, but you don't know about these 508 of the subdomains of google.com, right? So this is what the power of this tool called Sublist3r, right? Which seems to be pretty interesting. So let it run, and I think we can just pretty much use the -v for verbose, so to see what is happening in the background. And this is what is happening in the background. It is searching for netcraft, and it just get some information like www.microsoft.com, learn.microsoft.com, teams.microsoft.com, accounts, etc. It was able to get, right? So once it gets everything, then only it gets stopped. So when you use -v, then you can see what is happening in the background. So these are the domains it is enumerating, right? So this is what is happening in the background. When you don't use -v, then you pretty much don't see this. You will have to wait a lot of time to get the results. Okay, that is what is going to happen. Okay, I let it run. So I'm just stopping off, and I'm just using another command here called -o. I just want to output this is file.txt file. So yeah, I'm just saving this as file.txt. So I just want this all the outputs to a file called file.txt. So that's why I specify -o for outputting it into file.txt. So let it run. In the meantime, let's have a look onto the subdomains of google.com. As you can see, These are the subdomains that we were able to find by executing or by using this sublister tool. So anyways, let's try to visit some of them. Like let's try to visit like meet.google.com to see what it is. So I'm just trying to visit that meet.google.com. Here it is. This seems to be Google Meet, and let's try to use others. Like, you know that play.google.com is Google Play, and yeah, let's try to use toolbox.google.com what it is. So this is, seems to be an error that I'm getting. So let's try to use some of the others like video.google.com. Maybe some of them will force you errors and some of them will work, some of them doesn't work, but the is a lot of things that you need to know, like policies.google.com, etc. Like you can just pretty much enter this in your computer for getting an understanding of what a subdomain is, and what are the things that it can enumerate, etc. Right? So this seems to be enumerating from SSL certificates, and it contains basically a lot of things. Like Microsoft.com has, I think it may be more than 500. I don't know, but it is taking a lot of time to get it done. So let's try to execute something called vulnweb.com, which seems to be pretty faster, I think. So I'm just entering vulnweb.com. I don't know, will it work or not? Vulnweb.com. So yeah, it is now executing on netcraft. It got testphp.vulnerable.com and some of the other .vulnerable.com from the netcraft, and maybe it will use some other like maybe DNS term server Aristotle or some others. It usually takes time. Basically, what happens here, it will output this into file.txt. So let me see if file.txt existed here. Here it, oh no, there is no file.txt. Once all this scan completes, then only it will save the results to file.txt. That's what I think. So let it run, and as you can see what's happening in the background, like Google probably now is blocking our request. Finish now the Google enumeration. Like that, what's happening in the background, you'll be able to see by executing the -v command. And as I mentioned before, you can just use the minus h to get the help menu, and which seems to be -n that I was able to tell as of now. Like it seems to be no color. If you don't want colors, then you can just use that. Let's use Sublister, and -n for, I don't want a color, so -d for the domain. So yeah, let's try to execute the same vulnerable.com. And -p for what's happening in the background. So I was not able to see colors, right? So this is what happens when you execute -n, which will not give you colors. So when you don't use -n, then it will give you colors. Like you can see green color, you can see red color, orange color, etc. You'll be able to get colors, right? So when you use -n, it will not give you colors. It shows everything in the same color, which seems to be white here, right? So that's what it is. So that's something that you need to note. If you want colors, then you can use minus. You don't need to use -n. If you don't want colors, then you can use -n. Okay, it's based on requirements. That's an additional feature. We can appreciate that. Some people doesn't like colors, but I like colors, so I want colors. So this is what's happening, right? So basically it takes a lot of time to get it done, and this is how you basically use this sublister tool. And once it gets all done, or it may take some time, but once it's done, then it will definitely going to create a file.txt, as I mentioned here, right? So what happens here, it will use the sublister tool -d. Here it will enumerate domain from subdomains from the vulnerable.com, and I just specified -v, which here called verbose, which is what you are seeing, what's happening in the background, which will be displayed in the terminal. And you'll be able to see this is -o. I just output all the results that I get from this scan to a file called file.txt. So that's what I done, and as you can see, it was done, and it's saving the results to file.txt. Total unique subdomains found is 12. So these are the 12 subdomains it was able to find, and it is saved to the file.txt. So here it is, my file.txt. Let me add my file.txt. And here it is. These are the subdomains that I was able to enumerate. So you can just use the -o for saving all this in a text file. So this is how you use -o. Okay, I hope you understand how you can pretty much use the Sublist3r tool for enumeration. And guys, thanks for watching, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to like. And I will see you in the next one.